What the hell, Riverdale? I leave town for 1 week, just try to take a little vacation, and what do? You put out a bunch of new secrets, you arrest people, you recast Reggie, you got Archie and Veronica singing on stage, Kids in America, while Betty's mean-mugging the entire time. What the hell, Riverdale? What the hell, Riverdale? Doobie-doobie-doo, we're the kids in America. Hi, I'm Andre, and welcome to another episode of What the Hell, Riverdale, Review Dale, a recap of the latest episode of Riverdale. I know, it is a very late episode. A new episode is about to air pretty soon. I'm sorry to not get this out to you in my usual time on Fridays. If you did not know, if you did not check my social media, I actually got to go to London, England. I went there for a very special event, and I've never been to London before, and I haven't had a vacation in forever. So I took the opportunity to stay a few extra days and enjoy London and enjoy my life. And it's interesting though, because in the UK, they don't show Riverdale on TV. It actually shows up a day later on Netflix, kind of like a Hulu situation, and they consider Riverdale in the UK as a Netflix original. So Riverdale is the same as like Daredevil or Luke Cage or Jessica Jones or Iron Fist. Maybe the Archie gang in the UK can join the Defenders. Not only do I need to talk about this episode, but in the next episode, Archie Comics social media and Riverdale social media has revealed that in episode 12, not episode 13, there's still 2 episodes left, but the next episode will be the episode where we officially find out who Jason Blossom's killer is. So I got a lot to cover. I'm gonna talk about the episode that just aired, To Riverdale and Back Again, as well as give you some thoughts about possible suspects before we find out who killed Jason Blossom. First off, I just love the title of this episode, To Riverdale and Back Again. If you do not know, so years ago, and I remember actually watching this on TV, I think it was on NBC, there was a TV movie called Archie, To Riverdale and Back Again. You probably will see it sometimes nowadays referred to as Return to Riverdale, but it was called To Riverdale and Back Again, so I love they used that title as the title of this episode. And trust me, if you have any criticisms about Riverdale, you watch that movie and you'll be like, Riverdale is some quality television. Let me just say, Riverdale's version of Sugar Sugar, a lot better than Archie to Riverdale and Back Again Sugar Sugars. Honey, honey, cause you are my candy girl, and you got me wanting you. Break it down, won't you please? Just look up the clip. I'll link to it. It's that movie is weird, but I need to find it now because I now want to do a review of it. Archie's mom back in town, played by Molly Ringwald. Good to see her on the show. It's kind of fun to see her interact with the other parents. So she had a moment with Betty's mom where, of course, they had their little head-to-head, you know, playing the dozens, Riverdale white mom style. But what was really interesting was that Mary went to the homecoming dance as a chaperone with Fred, with Archie's dad, but also invited Hermione along with them. And there was this scene where they walked in together, and it was almost exactly like this shot that they had in the first episode when Archie, Betty, and Veronica went to the dance together. It was Fred, Mary, and Hermione going to the dance together. Go ahead, Luke Perry, you still got it. But I just find that interesting because there was even a moment where Mary and Hermione were talking together, and Hermione kind of apologized for being a mean girl to Mary when they were kids. So they have some history of not getting along together. So why is Mary all of a sudden trying to be all buddy-buddy with Hermione? We got a new ship in this episode of Veronica and Betty's mom. Yeah, man, Alice Cooper and Veronica Lodge, who haven't had a lot of time on screen together, were in cahoots big time in this episode, and it all centered around Jughead's dad, FP. So Alice had a meeting with Betty and Veronica to say that they wanted to do some investigating about FP. Betty, of course, wants nothing to do with this because she knows that Jughead already believes that FP had nothing to do with the murder of Jason Blossom, and she doesn't want to go behind the back of her boyfriend. But Alice and Veronica are like, okay, cool. But then when Betty leaves, Veronica's like, you know what? That's cool with her, but I still want to do this. Because Veronica knows that Hermione was paying FP for some kind of service, for some kind of work that he was doing for her dad. And on top of that, because of the confession that they gave that they thought that Hiram was a good character, Hiram might be getting not only just a reduced jail sentence, but he may actually come home very soon. So she needs to know if she can trust her father before he comes back. So they come up with this crazy scheme. Alice is going to invite Jughead and FP over to dinner with her so that she can kind of do a little bit of talking, investigating through the dinner conversation, while Veronica sneaks into FP's place and sees if there's anything there that could connect him to the murder of Jason Blossom. And Veronica, who had a special moment with Archie in the last episode, asked for a huge favor to have him help her out, but Archie is very reluctant because he's like, yeah, I can't do that. Jughead's my friend. He believes his dad. I can't go back on him like that. But then Archie starts to get a little suspicious when Jughead has a conversation with him saying that he wants to go back home because he thinks that his dad's in a better place. He's going to work. He's not drinking. The place is all cleaned up. But Archie gets a little suspicious when Jughead also mentions that FP has been reading his manuscripts and his writings, particularly his writings about the murder of Jason Blossom. FP even had a conversation with Jughead telling him, you know, I know you've had some troubled times, but maybe you don't need to put yourself in this situation and keep thinking about all this stuff, and instead think about us and our family and how we can get the mom and Jellybean to come back home. And Archie's like, yeah, this is, So now he wants to help Veronica out. But they're both like, we can't tell Jughead and we can't tell Betty. But you know, Alice Cooper is not one for being very subtle. So Betty already knows that something's going on, but she don't know what exactly. So when Alice reveals to Betty that she's gonna bring FP over, and Betty knows that Alice is gonna start investigating him while he's there, she pulls a power move. She brings Hal Cooper, her dad, to the dinner as well. And this is where things get awkward because Hal and Alice, of course, have a little bit of falling out. We know that Alice and FP got some history for some reason. And this is all going down during homecoming/alumni weekend. So everyone's having these reminiscences and memories and nostalgia about their homecoming and their times at Riverdale High, which leads to a very awkward conversation where FP remembers that he saw Hal and Alice at their homecoming back in the day having some kind of heated argument. And Alice is like, shut up, FP, which makes me suspect that not only does FP know about this argument, but I kind of have a feeling that he might know what that argument is about. This again is proving that there's something about Hal and Alice that they're not telling us that seems to be going on with these two. And this might also be connected with something that happened a couple episodes back when Alice and Hal had a whole argument about Hal trying to get Polly to get an abortion for the children of Jason that was in her body. Because Alice during that argument said, you're trying to do to Polly what you did to me. What? And FP might know, not to mention also knows that Alice ain't this prim and proper lady from back in the day. She was up in the South Side. She was possibly a serpent. And just sometimes the way that FP talks to Alice and the way they kind of look at each other, they may have a little past of their own. Maybe the child that may or may not have had that she may or may not have given up. Is it Hal's? Could it have been FP's? If there's even a child at all. I'm just throwing things out there. We don't know. What the hell, Riverdale? But while this awkward dinner is going on, Archie and Veronica are searching FP's place and they don't find anything. They don't even find that jacket. There's nothing there that can connect him to the murder. Veronica's freaking out. She's like, we gotta find something. Archie's like, look, this is a good thing. We didn't find anything. It's all good. Now let's get out of here before we get caught and go to the homecoming dance and sing Kids in America. We're the kids in America. Whoa. But before they go singing, they have a little conversation with Alice Cooper at the homecoming dance, and Betty sees them having the conversation, so now she knows what's up. Now she knows that her friends went behind her back and did some Scooby-Doo investigating. So when they're performing Kids in America, you can't help but just watch Betty mean mug the entire time, looking at that stage with fire. But come on, was all that mean mugging just because they went behind her back and worked with Alice Cooper? Or could a little bit of that mean mugging also be because she's seeing Archie and Veronica being really close to each other, hugging each other, singing together on stage? Plus, this was something that Betty even told Archie he couldn't do because Betty was like, sorry, Archie, you want to perform my homecoming dance, but your songs are like all sad and depressing. We need fun, upbeat music. And Veronica's like, I'll help them and I'll sing with them as well. And now she got to watch that at the homecoming dance that she prepared by the two people that may be doing something behind her back, both with Alice Cooper and also with each other. But yeah, Bughead's going to last forever, everybody. Yeah, Bughead's going to be to the end of the series. Sure, whatever. Okay. Jughead also figures out everything and is mad at Archie and Veronica, but is also mad at Betty because Betty suspected something and did not tell him. And if that weren't bad enough for poor Jughead, the sheriff of Riverdale, Kevin's dad, goes over to FP's place and says, we got a warrant to search your place. He's like, go ahead, you'll find nothing here. But they do find something there. They find a tackle box with a gun inside of it. So then at the dance, after Jughead learns that all his friends that pretty much went behind his back and betrayed him, he also learns that his dad has been arrested for the murder of Jason Blossom. But it's not all adding up for Archie and Veronica because when they find out that the reason why he was arrested was because they found this gun at his place, Archie and Veronica are like, we checked the place. That gun was not there. Somebody planted that gun after we left. Bum, 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 who planted the gun? And you think that was enough for an episode right there, but that ain't the only thing that was going down in Riverdale. Polly was doing some Scooby-Doo investigating herself, checking out the Blossom's home while she's living there, and she found this room full of red wigs, and then she saw Cheryl's dad. Come to find out that Cheryl's dad ain't a redhead. He's got like white gray hair, and he's been putting these red wigs on because that is what the Blossoms do. That is their tradition. That is how they look. That is the way it works. So, is this a thing that the other board of trustees of the Blossom Maple Syrup Empire, do they know about this? Do they know that Cheryl's dad is not a legit redhead or doesn't have his red hair anymore if he used to have it? Either way, he's got a room full of red wigs. That was creepy. And Cheryl's mom was like, hey, Polly, you doing pretty good? You look a little tired from all the investigating you've been doing. Stay out of that wing. What are you, the beast now all of a sudden? Stay out of the wing. Don't go by the roads with the petals dropping off. But you know, Polly, stubborn, she tricks Cheryl to go back over into that place to look for some new clothes and jewelry. But while they're over there, Cheryl and Polly come across Polly's engagement ring, the ring that the Blossoms had that Jason took to give to Polly as the engagement ring. Somehow, the Blossom parents now have possession of this ring. Why do Cheryl's mom and dad have Jason's and Polly engagement ring when he died and that was not around? Very suspicious. And even though Cheryl kind of threatened Polly a little bit, like, hey, just because you had those kids, I mean, you were safe here. Don't test me. It was really Cheryl's mom to be concerned about because Cheryl's mom kept bringing Polly these milkshakes. And then one of the milkshakes just made her go, bleh. She straight up drugged Polly with some milkshakes. And this made Cheryl upset because Polly was actually going to go with Cheryl to the homecoming dance because she didn't want to go by herself because she was hoping that Jason was going to be there and still be alive to go there or something like that. You know how I feel about that Cheryl Jason nonsense. something going on there. But what was really interesting is that Cheryl's parents were like, you know what, maybe we were wrong this entire time of trying to make Jason the heir. We should have made you the heir instead. This is, of course, part of some overall plan that they have. But they asked Cheryl, what did she do with the ring? Cheryl says that she flushed the ring. They were like, good idea. And Cheryl was like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's actually in my hand. Ooh. So what's important about that ring? Why do you need to figure out where that ring is? What's the deal with the ring? Why do you have it? And why are you concerned about it going away? I'm just saying, does that ring mean evidence? So that's what happened in Riverdale, man. And it just gets more intense as we're about to find out who this killer is. Now, there's a preview of the next episode that they aired. And in this preview, there's a shot of Archie, Betty, Veronica, Jughead, and Kevin watching a computer monitor. And then a gunshot is heard while they're watching the monitor. This is, I guess, to assume that they are actually watching the murder. Now, I'm going to assume that's what that is because Riverdale previews have a habit of showing something in the preview that makes you think, oh, that's what's gonna happen. And then when you watch the episode, that's not what happens. So they could be watching something completely different and somebody was just like, add a gunshot effect in there. But if I am to assume that they are watching the actual murder of Jason Blossom on that computer, let's run down some suspects. I think we gotta think about these lodges, man. Hiram and Hermione, we already know Hiram's not innocent. He's in jail right now. The Blossoms put him in jail. But I wanna focus on Hermione for a second because Hermione has been kind of playing innocent throughout this whole show, yet at the same time, she's one of the characters that has the most secrets. She has secrets about her relationship with Hiram. She has secrets about her relationship with FP and what they were doing where she was paying him money. She has all these secrets about when Veronica revealed that the Blossoms were paying money to the lodges. She was like, don't look into that anymore. She signed a paper as Veronica without Veronica's permission. She convinced Veronica to say good things about Hiram so he can get out of jail. There's a lot of things that Hermione has done that's not only up and up. She's lied to Fred, she's lied to her daughter, she's lied to pretty much everybody. And her husband is in jail, and she knows that her husband is in jail because of the Blossoms. So that kind of feels like a lot of possible motives to take Jason Blossom out to ruin their empire on behalf of the lodges. The other reason why I say let's think it might be Hermione, watch the clip where they're watching the computer of supposedly watching the murder. If we're going to assume that that's what they're actually watching, Do you notice that Veronica is the one that is the most emotional in that scene? She is almost in full-on tears, while everyone else has a little bit of tears, gasping, and Archie's just like, oh, a murder. So the fact that Veronica has the most emotion in that makes me feel like that somebody must be involved that she's personally connected to, and who better would that person be than one of her parents? And since Hiram is in jail, I think it's pretty safe to say that Hermione would be the other person that she would feel that deep for seeing something like that. So I think we gotta put out Hermione as a possible suspect. And since we know that Hiram is coming in season 2, could it possibly mean that mom goes away so dad comes into play? I'm just saying. But we also can't rule out Jason's parents, the Blossoms. They got a lot of history too with the Lodges, with the Coopers, with trying to get that land, with also trying to keep the company to themselves because the other board of trustees want to take the company away from them because now that Jason is dead, they don't have a rightful heir. But we also know that Jason was trying to leave the Blossoms because he wanted to have this relationship with Polly, because he wanted to get away from his family. And I gotta admit, there's something weird about the fact that Cheryl's dad does not have red hair. Are we absolutely sure that they're the parents? Are we sure that Jason Blossom is not just some dude they hired with red hair to be the heir and he wanted out? Because if they're not actually Blossoms, or if Jason was not an actual Blossom, that could explain why he was so distant from the rest of the family, and that could also explain why Cheryl may have a little bit more than a friendship feeling towards him, because she shouldn't feel that way if he was the actual brother, but if he's a plant, then maybe that's why she was okay with those motions. And it's clear the Blossoms are still looking for another heir to take Jason's place. They're looking at Cheryl now. They're also looking at Archie. They try to get Archie up in the mix. And of course, they're also considering Polly's kids. So if Jason wasn't ready to play ball in order to be the next heir to the maple syrup empire, could the Blossoms have taken him out themselves so they could plant a new heir in his place to keep the empire with them? Just saying. That's a possible motive. And let's not forget that the Blossom parents had the engagement ring. So why did they have it? How did they get a hold of it? They gave some story about how they were able to get their hands back on it again, but you know, that's a story you cannot believe. Then there's the Coopers. The Coopers have had a feud with the Blossoms, so it's possible that in retaliation for some part of the feud, Hal or Alice took out Jason Blossom. I'm really not starting to feel like the Coopers are guilty. I think that they have some other secrets that they're hiding, particularly this whole whatever happened to them when they were kids. I don't think that they actually did the murder, but at the same time, there's something ain't right about them either. They're this family that tries to look like a picture-perfect family that ain't picture-perfect. But I still don't 100% trust Polly. Like I said, she drops a lot of information down whenever it is convenient to do so, and she is up in the Blossom's house doing a lot of searching. What's she looking for? You know who's been gone for a while? Miss Grundy. Seems like a good time to come back, because we know that Miss Grundy had a relationship with Jason, or she was his music teacher for a while. But come on, we know what's up. That girl is a straight up Black Widow. You know, she changes her name. She jumps from city to city. How do we know that she also doesn't mate and then kill and moves on to the next person? Maybe Archie was gonna be her next target, but either she got caught in time, or maybe she actually did genuinely have feelings for Archie and couldn't go through with it. But she did have a gun in her car. But someone else that just came into town out of nowhere is Archie's mom. Why did she show up right now all of a sudden to be coming up in Riverdale, hanging out with Fred, trying to be buddy-buddy with Hermione for some reason, and really wants to take Archie out of Riverdale up to Chicago with her when she's never done this before? What's that all about? And let's not forget the fact that Archie's mom is a redhead. There's a lot of redheads on this show, okay? So could Archie's mom be somehow connected to the Blossoms? Is she part of the scheme of the Blossoms trying to keep that empire and maybe she gets a cut? I also am willing to suspect that maybe Hal Cooper may have some cahoots with the Blossoms. Could Hal Cooper have possibly, just hear it out, could he have possibly set Polly up so that she would have kids because they knew what was going to happen with Jason Blossom? They knew that he wasn't going to play ball, and maybe somehow they keep this whole Cooper Blossom feud in the public, but on the back end, on the private side, this is all a setup so that Hal can get some of that maple syrup money and use his daughter to make that happen. That's a possibility. I'm just throwing it out there. Don't think he murdered, but he's doing something shady. Now, they're saying that FP is framed and he didn't do it, but let's not forget FP has Jason Blossom's jacket, and he's been in cohorts with Joaquin to spy on Kevin, make this relationship with Kevin happen, that Joaquin is actually turning into a real relationship, but is obviously still doing it to spy on Kevin, and particularly Kevin's dad, to see what's going on with the investigation. Why would they be doing that? They may not have killed Jason Blossom, but they apparently are involved in something that ain't right. But it would be pretty interesting if FP, who was framed for murder, gets released because of this planted evidence that maybe someone else planted, like his cohort in crime, Joaquin, and then turns out that he actually did it after all. They could do a total Billy Loomis reboot in Riverdale where we don't think the Skeet did it, and then we find out the Skeet did it anyway. That would be so crazy if we got Billy Loomis did twice. And then Joaquin, it could be possible that it could be him. But then that brings me back to Kevin. Does Kevin know some stuff and he ain't saying it because he really likes Joaquin and doesn't want anything to happen to him? Possibly. Now here's an insane, crazy theory, but hear me out. What if nobody killed Jason? What if Jason killed himself? Hear me out. Obviously, Jason did not want to be part of the Blossoms. He wanted to get out. He wanted to be with Polly, or at least be somewhere else. He wanted to get Cheryl out of that situation as well, it seemed like, because they had a kinship. He knew there was a lot of stuff going on with the Blossoms on the behind-the-scenes tip that wasn't out there in the open. Probably also knew some stuff about the Lodges and the Coopers as well, but no one's putting it out there because Riverdale's a quiet and peaceful town. So what if it took somebody getting murdered to make everyone accuse everyone else, which would then allow all of these secrets to come out in the forefront? So you sacrifice yourself for the greater good of getting all the dirty secrets exposed. What that could mean is that the suicide is episode 12, and then episode 13 is, well, why did he do it? And then all of a sudden we get 13 Riverdale why. And then Reggie can come back. Don't take our Reggie. I need my Asian dude bro Reggie. And again, this is assuming that they are watching the killing take place on that computer. You normally don't record yourself doing a murder. If you're killing somebody else, you don't usually are like, hey guys, check me out, bang bang, like and subscribe, you know. Well, oh damn, that did actually happen recently, but usually you don't do that. However, and this is sad but true, we have had instances of people committing suicide and recording their suicide. So it's very possible that Jason did that, and that's what they're watching. So I think that it's a really far out there thought, but I think it's something that should be also considered. Maybe it was Dilton. Dilton was playing around with guns. Maybe Jason Blossom was bullying him or something like that, and he's like, I've had enough, I'm not gonna take it anymore. Maybe it was Reggie or Chuck Clayton. They were not the star football players. Jason was always a star football player. You gotta get him out of the way. Bang, bang, into the room. Maybe it was Ethel. Ethel was mad about that book, you know, where they were keeping score of all the people. I'm just saying. Maybe it was the Pussycats. Maybe Jason Blossom gave him a bad review on one of their YouTube videos, and they got mad and beat him up with a bunch of guitars. I trust no one in Riverdale. I'm telling you, it was Archie's dog. He was like, woof, woof, bang, bang. It was Jelly Bean. Jelly Bean left town. She pulled a straight up Maggie Simpson, Mr. Burns on Jason Blossom and then left town. Jelly Bean! What the hell, Riverdale? What the hell, Riverdale? I cannot wait to see who this killer is and why it all breaks down. I'm just really worried. I'm just going to be honest with y'all though. I'm really worried that when we find out who the killer is, it's not going to be as hyped as all of our theories. We've got so many theories thrown out there, and it could just be like, yeah, some random dude just came to town one day and shot Jason Blossom and left. Or you know who might have done it? CoverGirl. They've been here the entire time in the background. We never suspected a thing from old CoverGirl. Thank you all for being so patient. I hope it was worth the wait. What the hell, Riverdale? Please tell me in the comments, who do you think will be the murderer and why? I guess we're gonna find out very, very soon, but it was still fun to come up with all these crackpot theories because I enjoyed every single one of them. Let's find out if any of them make any sense when we find out the truth. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, please subscribe because I make nerdy videos about Riverdale and other things as much as I want about all the things that I personally like and have fun with. So if you like that, subscribe, and more importantly, ring that bell so you can be notified of all the videos that I make through your notification spaces. All right? I love you like a play cousin. I'm Addy 5000. Chain chomp yomp. What the hell, Riverdale?